Across Arkansas, farmers are driving machines through perfect crops, shredding their own harvests into the dirt. Not because of drought, not because of blight, but because harvesting will cost them even more than leaving these fields to rot. Hundreds of dollars lost for every acre, no matter how high the yields. This is not a story of failed farming. It is a crisis where math, not nature, destroys the heart of rural America. What forced these families to erase a year's labor, and why did it push the state's leaders into panic? Cotton fields that should be bursting with white bolls are instead lined with the tracks of heavy shredders, turning entire harvests into mulch. The machinery chews through rows of mature cotton, leaving nothing but tangled stems and shattered fiber. In low-lying rice country, fields that should be drained and drying ahead of the combines are kept flooded on purpose. Weeks pass as water sits over ripe grain, hastening rot and making sure the crop never leaves the field. Soybean acreage, green and heavy with pods, is leveled by bush hogs, rotary mowers that flatten and crush the plants, scattering beans back into the dirt. Some growers, already out of cash, cannot even pay for diesel or equipment to finish the job. They abandon entire fields, leaving crops to stand, wilt, and fall where they grew. Others use discs to chop up what's left, working plants and pods into the soil as if erasing a season's work with a single pass. These are not failed crops. These are healthy, harvest-ready fields, destroyed on purpose by the people who raised them from seed. 5 different methods, each one a way to make the loss. Final. The land is cleared, but the question lingers. Why destroy food at all? The financial reality for Arkansas farmers in 2025 is spelled out in black and red on every budget from the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture. No matter the crop, the columns end in loss. Cotton budgets show a net loss of $352.75 per acre. Corn is close behind at $273.71 lost for every acre planted. Rice, Arkansas's signature crop, loses $258.84 per acre. Even soybeans, the state's largest crop, are projected to cost growers $85.02 for every acre they put in the ground. These numbers already account for all the major expenses: seed, fertilizer, chemicals, land rent, machinery, and harvest. The university economists say these are not worst-case scenarios, but the expected outcome for an average year. The math is unyielding. Even when a farmer hits normal yields and market prices, the result is a guaranteed loss. The budgets do not even include a wage for the farmer's own labor. The best case is breaking even if you work for free. In reality, most cannot reach that point. Every hour a combine runs, every gallon of diesel burned, every hired hand paid, only deepens the loss. When harvest costs hit, the red ink spreads. For cotton, a farmer operating 1,000 acres faces a loss of $352,750 before covering family expenses or loan payments. University economists warn that this is the 3rd year in a row with negative returns on every major Arkansas crop. Prices have dropped 27% since 2022, while costs have kept climbing. The numbers make one thing clear. Harvesting a crop in Arkansas in 2025 is a financial decision, with only one outcome: loss. Scott Matthews stands in his Poinsett County shop, flipping through a ledger that reads like a warning. In 2025, he pulled off what every farmer dreams of: record yields on rice, corn, and soybeans. The bins were full. The fields had never looked better. But the numbers on the page told a different story. For every acre of rice, University of Arkansas budgets showed him losing $258.84. Corn bled $273.71 per acre. Cotton, the old staple, lost $352.75 per acre. Even soybeans, usually a safe bet, cost him $85.02 for every acre planted. It was not just the market prices dragging him under. Harvest itself had become a financial trap. Each combine burned through 20 to 30 gallons of diesel every hour, at $75 to $100 an hour just for fuel. A full day in the field meant $900 to $1,200 straight into the tank, with nothing guaranteed in return. Labor costs soared to a statewide record of $413 million in 2025, up 9% from 4 years earlier. Finding workers was nearly impossible, and paying them meant sinking deeper into debt. Scott's ledger shows the moment he realized the math had turned against him. Every hour spent harvesting, every dollar paid to a crew, made the losses worse. The more he grew, the more he lost. There was no way out. No amount of hard work or perfect weather could change the bottom line. He had delivered the best crop of his life, and it still was not enough to save the farm. Charles Williams has farmed the same ground in Crittenden County for 3 decades, watching seasons come and go, markets rise and fall. In 2025, for the first time he planted, knowing the numbers would never add up. Every acre was a calculated risk, but this year, the odds were impossible from the start. He paid for seed, fertilizer, and chemicals, signed the operating loan, and put his faith in the river system that has always carried Arkansas grain to market. But the Mississippi ran low all summer. Water levels dropped so far that barge companies slashed their payloads. Draft restrictions meant barges could only carry a fraction of their normal grain loads. The Army Corps of Engineers posted new limits, cutting capacity, raising freight rates, and slowing everything down. At the elevators, the impact was immediate. Grain piled up, trucks lined the roads, and managers started refusing deliveries. Charles found himself with bins full of last year's crop and nowhere to move this year's harvest. Storage invoices arrived every month, charging him for every unsold bushel. He watched as some neighbors received notices: pay storage or your grain goes to auction. The threat was real. Years of work could be lost over a single unpaid bill. For Williams, the bottleneck was not just on the river. It was in every part of the system: fields ready to harvest, elevators at capacity, storage fees mounting, and a river too shallow to carry the load. 3 decades of experience meant nothing against a logistics trap that locked his farm in place. The work continued, but the way out grew narrower with every passing week. Mike Ellis knows every acre of his Randolph County farm is tied to the bank's approval. Each spring, the numbers on his operating loan, $3 to $5 million, dictate what gets planted, when, and how much risk he can take. In 2025, those numbers became a trap. Banks saw the red ink in University of Arkansas budgets and started pulling back, freezing credit lines, or refusing to roll over loans mid-season. Ellis found himself facing terms he could not meet, with lenders scrutinizing every move. Kenneth Graves, watching the wave from the lending side, predicts up to 40% of Arkansas farms could go under if nothing changes. The courthouse in Jonesboro is now a revolving door. Bankruptcy attorney Joel Hargis says his caseload has doubled, with more farm bankruptcies filed in a single month than he used to see in a year. For many, the exit is not voluntary. It is court-ordered, final, and public. This is financial freefall, and the human cost is already devastating. Across Arkansas, millions of pounds of tomatoes, squash, and other produce lie unharvested. In some fields, there are 2,214 pounds of edible tomatoes per acre, and as much as 18,000 pounds of squash left to rot. Liability insurance costs make it impossible for farmers to even allow volunteers to salvage the food. While storage bins fill with last year's unsold grain, the cost of keeping it grows each month. The Environmental Conservation Assistance Program offers just $29.50 per acre, barely a fraction of the $352 lost on each acre of cotton. The Agriculture Council of Arkansas warns that 1 in 3 farms could close without immediate help. With a projected shortfall reaching $1.4 billion, pressure lands squarely on the governor's desk. As headlines mount and public outrage grows, the state's leadership faces a moral crisis. Food wasted in the fields, families on the brink, and no real answer in sight. Today, 1 in 3 Arkansas farms faces closure, with every lost farm erasing livelihoods, knowledge, and a rural way of life. When perfect food is destroyed while families struggle, the crisis is no longer distant. It is in every grocery aisle. The cost is not just local, it is national, and it is now.